evening. I get the privilege of serving as the administrator for Orange County's Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, a position that I just took about 2 years ago after succeeding Terry Olson, who is here with us as well tonight. Spent over 20 years in that role. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize some of our staff and our partners and our leadership that are here with us this evening. I first want to recognize District 6 Commissioner Mike Scott. Thank you for joining us. All of this work for all of the public art that we do in this community is supported by one superwoman in our office, and her name is Dawn Knight.
Yes.
Haley and our team supports us, keeping track of all of the impact of the work that we do. Megan here behind us is responsible for putting together these receptions and making sure that we're all here. So just a huge shout out to all of you for executing this vision. And this vision is really from the Black History Committee of Orange County. So those members, will you wave? Yeah. The Black History Committee of Orange County is Covenant's partner for this exhibition in the atrium. We're responsible for the beautiful displays that you have here and have a ton more activities happening. I'm going to plug next Friday, the 20th, midday, right out here on the lawn is a big celebration. So make your way back to us, have some food, have some entertainment, and engage. I would like to, at this time, invite our commissioner up to say a few words, and then we'll introduce our artist. How's that sound? Okay, come
on. Good afternoon. Y'all doing all right?
Yes.
Happy pre-Valentine's Day. Hey, so what good is a rainbow if it only has one color? The one thing I love about the Black History Committee is it's family, it's community, and it's love. Tasanee, the commissioners love your art. We were walking out and figuring out which one we could afford to buy by our partners, but it's truly great to kind of celebrate you and promote you in this space, and hopefully we'll see you maybe at the Multicultural Center and while it's still in my district for a few more months. But thank you for just sharing your love and your art and your vision for the world with us. When you think about artwork, whether it is poetry or song or anything that you create, some people kind of start a dream and life happens and they give up on it. And so I think it's amazing that you are here to be able to show us what you have made and also tell us the different stories behind it. Because I imagine that each one of these pieces has a unique story of how it came to life. And I'm sure some of it, if not all of it, is with love and family. And so just thank you for just being who you are. We need more creators, we need people to make us feel like, yes, I can. And so I can't tell you how happy I am to see you and to see this artwork. I ain't rich like that, at least not yet, but when I am, I'm gonna buy a whole lot more. So thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you do. Thank you.
I'm not going to talk very long. No one's here to hear from me. But before I bring our artist up on stage, can I introduce a representative from the Black History Committee of Orange County to talk a little bit about this exhibit and then the ethos behind it and how it came to be, Ms. Dolores, please.
Good evening. I'm Dolores Batson, President of the Black History Committee of Orange County. And we have a couple of representatives here, Janine Graves, Valerie Curgill, Carolyn McFadden. And we just want to thank first Orange County government, the mayor, and all the commissioners who support us for the last 31 years. We've been doing this for Black History Month, and every February, we either bring in a local artist or partner with Arts and Cultural Affairs and Dawn and Vicki, and they help us pick an artist, and then they send us the information, and we choose the best one to represent. So we chose you this year with the help of Arts and Cultural Affairs, and your art is amazing and simply beautiful. We appreciate the partnership. Glad that you're here, and glad that we can sponsor you for this month. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to embarrass you by reading the whole bio, but I'm going to read a little bit of your bio, and then we're going to have you up here so you can tell us what these pieces mean to you. So, Tasanee Direct is a Chicago-born architect, for those of you who did not hear that, and an abstract figurative artist based here in Central Florida. Her work is about repair. She creates art to rebuild connections where it was not always guaranteed in her life. Growing up with a fractured family history, absence and survival shaped how she sees the world, and her practice comes from the need to reconnect what has been broken. Working across mixed media, painting, sculpture, her practice explores identity and lineage and psychological healing within the Black diaspora, and through abstract figurative mixed media works, she explores inherited absence, which is a phrase that I really zeroed in on reading this bio. Inherited absence and the ongoing work of reconnection. Through these layered compositions that merge Black figures with flora, language, Black fine art centered on the convergence of mind, body, and spirit, her work is deeply informed by research into Black psychology and lived experience, including collaborations with health professionals and neuroscientists. So after she speaks to you for a few minutes, you're going to be able to do some Q&A. So I know there's some really exciting tidbits in there that you want to ask questions about and dive further into. But right now, I'd like to turn it over to Tasanee.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to thank all of y'all for coming. I appreciate, of course, Vicki, Don, the entire team behind all this, the Black History Committee. Thank you for just letting me share my story and you sharing yours with me. That's, I think, the most vulnerable thing we can do as humans, whether we're artists, architects, whoever we are calling ourselves, being vulnerable and connecting our stories is what is important to me. And that's a huge part of the artwork that I do. It's like what Vicki was saying, a part of my bio is connection and understanding that we are not broken. And so that's why all of my work is made by one unbroken line. All the work is one continuous line because we are all connected, no matter our background, our creed, religion. And I see artwork as a way to heal, a way to empower, and a way to connect cultures. And so this show is a visual representation of my evolution as an artist over the past 5 years. And the stories that I portray in my work and hope that others understand the stories or find stories within them that tell them a little bit more about themselves. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm gonna be here all night, so I can talk all night. So I'm not gonna do that right now. But thank you so much for inviting me and for allowing me to open my world up to you. So thank you.
Do you want to be on the hot spot for questions, or do you want to just chit chat? No, you're good. I'll keep you up because I had the privilege of interviewing you, so I already have some preloaded questions I can talk about. How do you even discover that you have the skill to draw something without ever taking the pen up off the paper, like doing one continuous line? Like, how do you even discover that's something you can do?
Oh my god, honestly, I remember in elementary school, this was actually an art project that our teacher challenged us to do. And we actually had to look at an object and we couldn't look at the page, and we had to just draw what we saw. And being an architect, I just, about 5-6 years ago, needed something to release that didn't involve designing buildings. I mean, I loved it, but I was like, man, I just want to draw something else. And so I started drawing people, and I thought about that time where we couldn't lift our hand, and I love the challenge. So that's what started that seed, planted that seed, and got it going.
I wanted to ask, what's the inspiration, or who's the inspiration of the lady that's in your art?
Just in general? Or
Yeah, just in general, like this piece behind you, there's a lady looking up to the sky.
Yeah.
And what was your inspiration about her?
Ooh, that's a great question. So honestly, I tend to find myself drawing women a lot. But the piece behind me is actually a male. But I always say that there is femininity in all of us, no matter if we're female or male. And so this particular piece behind me is titled Ties of Liberation, and it's paying homage to a well-known Black captain. He was a whaling captain his name was William T. Short, and he was known as one of the best Black whaling captains of his time. At the time, it was, I mean, we're talking in the middle of Jim Crow movement. And so he was able to basically guide and lead crews who were integrated crews, you know, black, white, Asian crews. And they were able to work as a team and actually bring whales onto the ship. You know, they have to capture them, they have to hunt for them, and then they would piece up the pieces of the whale for, if they're gonna use it for oil, for lighting, for food. And I think these types of stories are not talked about. I think Black maritime culture is something that is beautiful, and it's still undiscovered, similar to how the ocean is still, like, I think we're still 1% discovered still. So, yeah, that's just a short story about his life, and just turning that into a visual piece that I hope will be remembered.
That's awesome. We'll have to do more research.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With the pieces that are here today, like which one took the shortest amount of time to take, and how long was it, and which one took the longest?
Ooh,
And how long
that's
was
a
that?
great question. So the pieces all the way down by the door, the smaller pieces, those took the least amount of time. I'm gonna say about maybe 25 to 30 minutes of not losing my hand. And those smaller pieces, I can actually sit and do for longer periods of time. The larger pieces, you'll notice dots of where I stopped and picked back up to continue the line. The longest piece, I would say would be this one, due to the scale and the research that goes behind the piece as well. Searching up oral histories on William T. Shirley, and then the materials that I've used. This one has silkworm cocoons, raffia, which are the plant fibers, and salt that you can see here. So that one, I want to say it took about 3.5, almost 4 months. And mind you, I'm still working full time too, so like, count that in. That's why it takes so long too. Great question.
Thank you.
So did that whale swallow a hand? Is that what's sticking up down at the bottom?
Down here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. I actually like that you saw that. But, the intent was, that this headpiece, the whale's head is cut off, and it becomes his headpiece, like his headdress. And he's like, almost like wearing it like a headpiece. So I want to honor the whale as well. And it's ties to him being the black whaling captain.
How old were you when you realized that you were an artist, like your first piece, right? So you create something, but then maybe like 2 years later, like, yeah, I'm actually good at this. Like, so what was the difference between that?
Oh my goodness. I remember when I was little and I would tell my mom, I'm gonna be an artist and I'm gonna build you a glass house. And I don't know why I would say that. So I always loved art and math and wanted to be an artist. And then I evolved into wanting to be a landscape architect, which got me into architecture. And then I fell in love with architecture. But honestly, as little as like, I'm gonna say 6, 7 is as far as I can remember. And I knew I just loved it.
So when, how old were you when you sold your first piece?
Ooh. I remember my very first piece that I sold. It was an original painting. So I sold prints, was like how I started, and it wasn't even to make a sale. I just wanted to draw and connect with the community, and then I started having deep conversations with people, and I was like, oh, okay, this is way bigger than me and what I thought it was. So my first painting I sold at the Winter Park Art Festival to an amazing gentleman, and I just remember, I didn't know how to price it. And we just started talking, and he pointed to a piece. It was a simple black and white painting of a woman, and it was titled Unbroken. And he's like, I want this piece. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, what spoke to you about it? And he's like, the title alone. And so that was the first time I sold it, and that was, I want to say 2019?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So one more question. I'm a whole interviewer right here. After you sold this piece, you can answer this one or two ways, or both ways. After you sold that piece, can you describe what was your feeling, or who did you call first? Your mom, girl, guess what? I sold my first painting. Like, tell us how you felt. Like,
Oh my goodness. I remember immediately feeling, oh my gosh, I got a collector. And then my immediate response was, okay, how am I gonna get this piece to him? And so I was like, do you want me to drop it off to you, to your house where you live? And I was just like crazy, but I was just so excited to build a relationship with this collector. I was just, oh my goodness, like you want this piece in your home. Like that's your safe haven. That's something that brings you peace and happiness and joy, and you want this to be a part of it. And my mom was there, so she was a part of the action. So she was excited too. And but that honestly, like I love I love when I meet collectors, and especially if they're first time collectors. He definitely was an avid collector, but just having that connection, it means a lot. It means a lot.
well, as the kids would say, clock it. Good job, clock it. Great job, great job.
I have a question. Can you, it's another feelings question. Can you just, I love this work, I love the scope of it, I love how many little tiny details there are, I totally see the landscape design and the architecture. Can you describe the feeling of how you know when you're finished? Like in the piece behind
That's a
you,
good
there's
question.
this like beautiful
Great
red
question.
little detail up in the top of the bottom of the jaw. It's like so amazing.
Yeah.
How do you go, like did you start with this totally worked out?
Yeah.
Or did it evolve and you had a moment where you're like, oh, this is it, this is the last little.
Oh my goodness.
That's the
That's
real
a
question
great
right there.
question.
Great question.
That's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. It differs per piece. I always have a sketch, and it always ends up being not different, but way more evolved than the sketch. And sometimes I feel that I'm finished, and then I'll give it a couple of days, and I look at it again, and I'm like, no, I'm not finished. And then other times, I feel like I overdo it. And then I have pieces where I've scrapped, and sometimes I wonder, what if I just would have showed it to someone? And what would they have thought, or would that have helped them? But no, it differs between the piece. And then sometimes I'm on a deadline, but I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like helpful in that process.
Yeah.
To follow up on that question, your use of materials is fabulous. And does the line, the unbroken line, precede how the rest of the materials are applied, and how did you come up with your combination of really fascinating materials?
Ooh, great. That's a great question. You guys are really bringing the question. So to answer the first part of your question, the unbroken line comes first, and it then informs the other materials, hey, this is how we're gonna work. I started experimenting with salt first, about a few years ago. So I read this book called The Salt Eaters by Tony K. Barbara. I feel like I butchered his name. But this book really was about spirituality and humanness. And there was this one character who used salt and other different type of herbs to heal people, and they called it, because something was mentally wrong with her, but she was actually helping people. And so I thought that was fascinating and wanted to start using salt, because I do see salt as not only a spiritual connection, like we're all salt of the earth, but also as a healing mechanism. And so it's also a preserver. So I was like, man, how would this be with paint? And so I started experimenting, and was able to come to this combination of salt, water, and paint. And so now this is what I use on my work. So that's how the salt started. And then I started getting more into raffia. I love Simone Leigh's work. I love her sculptures, and she uses raffia in her work. And I love the use of natural materials. So I was like, well, let me keep going with the natural materials. Started learning about plant pigments. There's a piece I did. It was a public art commission, but I used plant plant dyes. I was making paint out of plant dyes, and then I started getting into the silkworm cocoons. It's actually used for like your face. It's supposed to be for blackheads, but it reminded me of barnacles. And so that's why I started using those. And it's also another natural material. So anything that's a natural material that piques my interest with texture and kind of helps inform what the piece is telling, I'm really exploring with materiality.
I have one.
Oh, yes.
Where does neuroscience show up in these pieces?
Great question. So about almost 2 years ago, I started to get this fascination with how our minds, like if we were to scan our brains, what they would look like, and what it looks like if you have dementia, depression, anxiety, and what type of natural cures, like natural-based compounds, could fix that. And so I went down a rabbit hole, and one of my collectors is an anthropologist, and she connected with me with a neuroscientist. And so we started talking, and I was just telling her all these things, and she started talking to me about all these different like tests that they do to understand our lived experiences. I can go on all night on this, but and so now I just love talking to neuroscientists because they understand the importance of art and how it impacts how we feel. And neural arts is becoming more prevalent. It's not new, but I feel like it's just now getting to the surface. And so now I would say like every other month I try and talk to a neuroscience scientist. They're extremely busy. And I like to understand what they are learning, and then I like to then apply what I'm learning about our psyche, about psychological health into my work. Is that the answer?
It's great.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have one. So, I work here in this building, and so I just been so drawn to this. So, as she sheds, talk to me.
So, As She Sheds was actually a part of a collection, I believe it was in 2022 I started that collection, where I was freshly out of an abusive relationship of 8 years. I ended an engagement and started to understand that I was a huge people pleaser and I was tearing myself down. And As She Sheds was a part of that series of understanding that boundaries is not a defense mechanism, but is actually a way to love yourself, and that time to internally reflect, and sometimes you have to just kind of step away and shed those layers, so that, we're constantly evolving. And so that's what that piece represents. And so the plant that's used is actually a South African plant. I'm blanking on the scientific name for it, but it's a very resilient plant.
Is it called a protea?
No, that's another piece I had,
Okay.
that had the king protea in it. I have to get back to you on the name of that plant. But it's very tolerant, and so she's looking up at it because she is also tolerant of a lot, but she is shedding that skin of who she once was and is becoming a woman. And so she's also rocking braids that come from a specific tribe that is known to have the longest hair on earth because of the traditions that they use. And once they are married, they braid their hair in that way to signify that they are now a woman. And so there's a lot of hidden layers in that, but As She Sheds is basically like just that becoming of self. I think it speaks to the title of the show, Soft Structures for Holding Ourselves, and just letting herself become,
The title of this one, and I'm thinking about like ice, right? It says your silence will not protect you, and I think about how folks are coming in and asking us to move in a certain direction as it relates to ice. I'm curious, like, what was the thought behind the title?
Oh, that's a great question. This precedes ice, actually, and it's a beautiful, it's very interesting how you related this piece to what's going on with ice, because this piece I think is going to unfortunately always be relevant. This piece is discussing how we all wear masks in our day-to-day lives, but what happens when we take that mask off is the most important. Because that is, I think, that transition where we're realizing we're wearing a mask. And what happens if you stay silent with that mask on? Does that hurt other people? And what does that look like? Because we are innately always thinking about ourselves, our safety, our loved ones, but like what happens when you take that mask off? And so this is actually, that piece is actually a part of a trilogy. The other two, one has sold and the other one is at a gallery, but it goes with a piece where the mask is on, then it transitions to this piece where the mask is off, and then the third one is where the mask is facing you, which I think is that third and final step, is when you're actually facing the mask that you're putting on after you've taken them off. Did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay.
Terry, you had a question?
Oh,
You forgot now.
so my, shows my shallowness, but, so back on the neuroscience.
Yes.
I was gonna say, Vicki, you don't see a Rorschach test in that one down there? Or there's more to it, I guess.
No, I love that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, with your practice, where do you see your work going in the next 10 years?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Okay. I hope to see my work actually being more interactive and being more of an educational tool. That's where I really want to see my work. Bit of a tangent, but Sarah Walton, she's like, she founded like the Crystal Bridges Museum in Arkansas, and she just actually founded a school of medicine where she's incorporating her love of art and medicine. I was like, oh my God, if I can be in that space and to help the healers of our community, you know what I mean? Like it's important for us to heal through art, but to help the healers who are also in a lot, doing a lot, that is really where I would love to go. And I don't know what that looks like yet. I don't know if that looks like collaborating with hospitals, collaborating with hospitality, I think is another one. Does that look like public art, sculptures? That would be fun, but I definitely want to get into the more of the health and wellness space with my work. Maybe that question.
All right, I get the last one. It's an easy one. Are they for sale?
Yes, they are.
They are for sale. Every single piece is for sale. How do people find you when they want to connect with you?
Oh yes, thank you. There's cards that are on that blue table, on my left. There's like large cards with more information, small cards. There's also, if you go to social media and you type in my name, Tasanee art, that's my name for all social media. And if you go to tasaneeart.com, that's my website. And feel free to shoot me an email. It goes to me. I'm like a team of one right now. So I love talking to people. I still go on Zoom calls if you want to collect. I also have prints. If you're a first-time collector and want to start small, let me know. I also do personal commissions as well. So, yeah. Thank you.
Let's start down here. No, I'm just gonna take some photos of the art down there. All right, so now we're gonna look at the individual pieces.
Which one are we taking?
But I don't like the simple one.
Actually, yeah, I don't like these.
I like it too. I love that one with the sword.
Yeah, I want to look at some.
This is wonderful, this one.
Yes. And this one she incorporated a West African Adinkra symbol called Jiyaniyami. It means God is omnipotent. And this is also an Adinkra symbol, looks like. So she's incorporating a lot of different symbolism, which a lot of artists do.
I love it. That just speaks to me. I feel like I'm on my phone all the time. Right? I have to come out and certainly appreciate. So I'm gonna call when I get home to take. Yeah, I feel that like because I remember here so just supposed to be at midnight. I got it. I'm terrible words like that.
I'm just gonna say it while I'm listening to back me up. I tell her not to do it. Okay, like she does. I don't like these.
In the future. I'll be following you.
All right, I saw some Adinkra symbols in some of them pieces down there. I do know. I know. I was sharing.
My bestie, Yolanda. Over here, she loves you. We have to meet her. I'll just ask you a question. That's why I wanted to bump in line. And I can I tell her how she's on your
No, I've heard of that. Yeah. She's just